Farm attacks were down in the past year, but farm murders are increasing. 395 farm attacks reported countrywide since April 2020, and 59 people were murdered. 41 people were killed on the farms in the same period in the previous year. Now, there are growing calls for more police visibility in rural areas. We continue our discussion here on farm attacks, farm killings, and rural safety. For now, I'm joined by AgriSA's Ace van der Westhuizen, and Siyabonga Sithole is still with us from the Association for Rural Advancement. Mr. van der Westhuizen, let me bring you in now into the conversation. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, and before we spoke to you just now, we were hearing from Siyabonga Sithole and earlier from Guido Erlings from AfriForum. The sense I'm getting from these two gentlemen up to now, I just want to get yours now, is that criminality is largely behind the ongoing farm attacks, but there are underlying historical tensions and racial tensions. AgriSA, you are a commercial entity in terms of farming. What is your sense?
Yeah, good day to you and also to your viewers and your panel. AgriSA has always great concern for what is happening on our farms. And when I say on our farms, we include the farm workers as well as the farmers. The statement that you made that mainly criminality, and then also with your statement is underlying conditions. Now, we can only work on what the statistics that the police have included in their quarterly reports. And mostly what we've seen there, it is criminalities. So there are other cases and the underlying circumstances. We have requested on several times now that we need to have a proper investigation done to see what are these underlying conditions that people are just mentioning, and we do not have actual 100% proof if those underlying conditions are really what they are.
But we know that we're only 27 years into democracy, and land ownership is still an issue in the country. Poverty and inequality still runs very much along racial lines. Could those be part of those underlying factors, the socio-economic inequalities?
I want to say crime in its totality is because of our social, economical, how do you call it, unbalanced situation. We are quite clear on our statements where we said it's the current socio-economic circumstances of all our people contributes to crime. And if you look at the statistics by several well-known statisticians, they say that crime pays nowadays. So why would you sit next to the road, and if you don't have any income and you don't start participating in crime, because it shows crime pays?
Now, Mr. van der Westhuizen, if you know that socio-economic inequalities are largely leading to criminality on the farms, why are you asking for specific research as AgriSA? What are you looking for specifically?
What we are looking for is to see the reasons behind these farm attacks, specifically when people mention, yeah, it's because of bad relationships between farmers and the farm workers, or bad relationships between the farm workers and the farmers. Many people say racial issues. So our question then arises, why do black farmers also get killed on the farms? You understand, it's not that we are saying we're denying, and it's not that we are saying we're admitting to that. We are saying, let's go and do a proper research. And let's include all role players to look into that.
Siyabonga, do you think Mr. van der Westhuizen makes a valid point that when he says that because today we also see black farmers being attacked, we need a better understanding of the dynamics without denying that there are socio-economic inequalities that we all know and the history of the apartheid legacy? Well, how would you respond to that, Siyabonga?
Well, I'm not sure what Mr. van der Westhuizen means when he says that there's no difference because black people also get attacked. I think when you talk about the socio-economic challenges, when you talk about the inequalities, we shouldn't just look at it across racial lines. We're talking about farmers having resources and farm dwellers not having the resources. It so happens, and undeniably so, that the majority of farmers are white. And it also happens that we are in a country where we have a legacy of apartheid, as you have correctly mentioned, Dan. Now, you can't just ignore that. It's something that has to be dealt with. I did say earlier on that farming communities are a microcosm of what is happening across the whole country. Social cohesion is an issue across South Africa, and it's something that has to continue to be dealt with. But the farming community's situation on its own needs special interventions, as we've mentioned, around engagement, around facilitating relationships.
What about the issue? What about the issue of landlessness as well, or land ownership? If you talk about special interventions, would that be one of the matters to be discussed? Because, as you said, currently the majority of land ownership in South Africa is in the hands of our white compatriots.
Exactly. Then that is the failure of our land reform program in South Africa. The land reform program sought to correct the injustices of the past. It sought to balance out the issue of landlessness, as you refer to it. We have always said that the upgrading of farm dweller rights, making them landowners, and allowing them to coexist as peacefully with their neighbors, including white farmers. But if this subservience relationship that persists, where farm dwellers have to live under farmers, that is causing the problem. So the land reform program should be obviously expedited, so that farm dwellers become landowners. All those land claims that remain unprocessed are a problem.
Yeah. Land reform, AgriSA's view on speeding up the land reform process and making farm dwellers not just dwellers, but also share in the ownership of the land where they dwell. What would the AgriSA's view be, Mr. van der Westhuizen?
AgriSA has never said that they will not participate. If you look at our track record, we are participating in all the forums where land issues are discussed. We do not necessarily agree with everything, but we are sitting around the table and we are discussing these issues, and we are trying our utmost best to see how can we meet both sides. And I just want to come back to what your previous speaker has just stated. He made several comments about farm dwellers, relationships, and those things. Again, we are asking, give us the real facts on the ground. And in previous interviews, I've also requested that people, if they make an allegation, we are not saying it's not happening, but we cannot comment and we cannot report if we do not receive the real facts as it is happening according to these statements on the ground. So we have never shied away. If there's a wrongdoing, we will investigate, we will act, and we will give feedback on that one. So I just want to make it clear. If we are saying it's because of our socio-economic conditions, why is the factor that there are farm workers and there are farmers, and now suddenly that's got a relationship problem? When we look at some of these incidents, it's people that does not have any interest on the land, people that do not even know the farmers. They come there in groups of 10, they attack the farm, they rape and murder the people inside the house, irrespective if it's white or black or colored. And I can refer to the KZN issues. What then? What is that motive then?
Yeah,
is that land?
I guess,
or is it crime?
Yeah, I guess we've got the sense from you, from Siyabonga Sithole, and earlier from Guido Earlings from AfriForum that largely it's crime, it's criminality. Just in less than 30 seconds, I just want to give you parting words for you as we conclude, because I did the same to Siyabonga Sithole earlier and to Guido Earlings. What should be done? What can we focus on? There was an intervention suggested of building trust between in the farming community, enabling economic activity to address issues of inequality. And you say you subscribe that socio-economic inequalities are there and they must be addressed. What else, very briefly, in less than 30 seconds, Mr. van der Westhuizen, do you think should be done to be able to make a dent against farm killings and farm attacks?
30 seconds. I'll try my best. If we can look at the National Rural Safety Strategy that was developed by the police and many role players. Inside, it says how to address these issues. Inside, it says we need reservists because that is the current shortcoming. We do not have enough police on the ground and we need enablers to assist us in achieving what is stated in the strategy. So what we are saying, no new plans. Implement what we got, resource the police, and we jointly address this farm workers, farmers, and the different communities.
Thank you very much. That's Ace van der Westhuizen speaking on behalf of AgriSA, ending our focus this hour of all angles on the ongoing farmer tax